as we get introduced to more and more of these new characters in the series, this arc seems like it's shaping up to be a very big expansion of the Kagurabachi protagonist cast, which is something that I think a lot of people have been asking for a long time, because we finally have what I think might be one of, if not one of the only characters to ever survive the Elite Warrior curse. Because I'll be completely honest with you, towards the end of this battle, I was getting worried that it might end up the same way that it always does. But thankfully, with the chapter quite literally named after her, Kiri, after only being introduced, comes off as one of the coolest characters that has been introduced in Kagurabachi in a solid minute. And with the fact that she not only is related to the creator of the EI White Purity style, but her entire character seeks to destroy the EI White Purity style for everything that it is by just handicapping herself and making swordsmanry as a whole harder on herself, just to not only prove her grandfather wrong, but so she can be an absolute badass doing it. Because with her wielding in Odachi / no Dachi, a blade that is so weighty, very clunky, and hard to use, a lot of people were questioning what she was going to be able to do with this. Is she an EI White Purity style user with this gigantic blade just so she can prove her grandpa wrong that she was able to use his sword style? It's the exact opposite. She uses this gigantic blade in such a unique way that she basically almost creates her own style of weaponry and attack that I haven't seen in realistically any other series. If anyone can think of anything similar, please feel free to just drop it down in the comments, because this is one of the coolest things that I've seen in a long time, and I might gush and glaze about it for a little bit, but it is such a perfect way to explain Kiri's character and show us everything that she is all about. Instead of being someone that is going to prove her grandfather wrong by doing what he can only better, she goes her own route entirely. Using this giant Odachi, someone in my chat actually described it as she is a walking blender, where instead of using the hilt, which would of course take all of the disadvantages of the clunkiness of the heavy weight and put it into the swordsmanship where she can't really fight close quarters, what this badass girl boss does is she, instead of wielding the sword by the hilt, she quite literally plays like a balance juggle with the Odachi, to the point that she literally just uses the gravity and weight of it to dance the blade around her body, and uses her body as almost like a magnetic center, to where if you were to take her out of the equation, it would literally appear as if the sword is just slicing and dicing sporadically in a storm of slices and cleaves. And again, she is just in the middle. Like, think of just some kind of revolution device. I can't even think of the word, because I'm just blown away with how cool of a demonstration she gives us. This video is sponsored by GamerSupps, the ultimate energy and focus formula. GamerSupps is an awesome drink made up of a bunch of vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin D3, B6, B12, and vitamin H. All super good for you and your health, so it's not one of those awful sugar-filled concoctions that's gonna make you crash after drinking it. If you're still skeptical about it, go check out the link and use my code anyway. They are more than willing to send you some free samples and give you a chance to try their product for free. Use my code NOOP now for 10% off, and thank you GamerSupps for sponsoring the channel. Another thing that I have to say about Kiri that just proves Hokuto truly does know where he's going when it comes to writing these characters and giving them the best possible ways to not only show off their goals, their aspirations, and who they are as people, but show off the things that they have done to get this far on those journeys, since technically we're popping in on Kiri's, life story halfway through. She's had her flashbacks with Aruha, with her grandfather, always wanting to destroy the white EI Purity style, and because of that, she finds herself in a situation where, because of the lion's head's demon masks that are appearing that the Hishaku Tai guy summoned before Yura told all of the Hishaku members to leave him behind so he can handle Aruha, and they should continue the operation, which I'll get into in a little bit here. But focusing back on Kiri, you have the Kamunabi traitor who is all about speed. She has the 2 small swords and she decapitates people super quick with one big quick zip. And the big issue as well, which is a perfect combination, the lion's heads, when they are destroyed, they actually end up weighing the person that destroyed them down and everyone on the enemy side down heavily. Even when Aruha is fighting Yora, he begins to start weighing down heavier because of the situation. So it's literally like an area of effect against enemies only. And Kiri quickly discovers this. She goes, well, the more I destroy, the slower and heavier I'm going to get. And all's the traitor is going to do is wait until I've killed all of the lion's mass, so that way I am as slow as possible, and then she's gonna use her speed to just completely override me and defeat me. So Kiri does one of the coolest things that I've ever seen in regards to adaptation, and also, again, just showing what she is capable of and what her character is all about. Because what she chooses to do is she cuts out the floor, saves Hikori from the surrounding attack of lion's heads. She then tanks every single one of these lion's chomps, which pins her in place and does some serious damage to her, but also leaves her completely restrained, so that way the speed girl can just zip her way off and decapitate her. And again, this is the moment where I said, oh crap, the elite curse is about to strike and we're gonna lose this character, because she bit off more than she could chew. But again, this is how you know Kiri is the real deal, because not only did she tank all of those lion mask chomps, she tanks one of the girl's fucking kunai katana knives, whatever she has, right through her arm, and then grabs her right before she stabs it through the head. And she says, sorry, I'm used to speed, which is, again, beautiful character writing on Hokuzono's part, because if you really truly think about it, not only has Kiri developed a completely unique sword style to spit in the face of what her grandfather always told her, that women are too slender and weak to actually wield katanas. So not only did she reject the EI White purity style and everything to do with the speed about it, she took a blade that was way heavier than anything her grandfather would wield. She developed her own sword style to use it in a way that could potentially give her impenetrable defense, as the Kunoichi girl says. And at the very end of all of this, she proves her durability, and then she shows how she has selectively trained herself to handle high speed attacks. Because again, if she's going to crush the EI White purity style, this unique weaponry swordsmanship style that uses speed to its full advantage, it makes sense this girl would fully be able to handle the highest of speed attacks. And yeah, she literally says that this is nothing if this is as fast as you can go. I'm used to handling real beasts, which again, probably the real users of the EI White purity style that probably completely outlevel this girl or anything she is capable of. She turns all of the lion's heads and the girl into a shish kebab in one single moment. What a beautiful end, because again, the more she took out, the heavier she got. And the heavier she got, the less she would be able to respond to the girl's speed. So instead of taking them all down one by one, she takes them out all in one shot and bears the weight of everything in that moment. So hey, there's no enemies to worry about now, right? Wrong. Because right in that moment, we've got Hokuto, the big famous Hishaku member that's on everyone's mind since he was last introduced last chapter. And after finding out Aruha was involved, this man wasted no time in showing up right where he needed to be, almost on the dot. Not only is Hokuto clearly a threat, considering he is one of the oldest members of the Hishaku, which has to mean something, he is clearly going to try and help Yora fight Aruha. Even though Yora is probably a very strong warrior on his own, he's not stupid enough to try and take on a warrior like Aruha by himself. But either way, all I know is I am more than excited to see what the hell happens next if Hokuto is already making an appearance. I mean, honestly, it just tells me that we might actually see Natsuki show up a lot sooner than we thought. We might literally see Natsuki show up way sooner than we thought, and he might be the one to handle Hokuto, because Kiri might be bearing the weight and not be able to protect Hikori very well. Because again, as always, Hikori is the key ingredient to surviving this arc. And this is just gonna get crazier with Samura and Chihiro on their way. I know a lot of people are upset Hiyuki and Shiba won't be involved, but again, if Hiyuki and Shiba, even if they got notified Kamunabi headquarters is being raided, if they leave the sword bearers, they're just leaving the other enchanted blades completely open. And this is still the sword bearer assassination arc. I think that's an important thing to remember, because there's got to be some reason Hokuzono has not changed the story arc's name. But I digress. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. It severely helps the channel way more than you know. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future Kagurabachi reviews or content that's going to be coming out on the way. So I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed. Peace.